Alright, we're back. Now I'm going to continue scrapping Sanctuary as much as possible. And then we'll start building on the basics of the settlement so that when I go and get people that want to come back here and survive, they'll have a place to do it and resources to do it with. It'll also allow me to have a few things that I need for the adventure out in the wasteland. So I'm doing this kind of haphazard right now, or haphazard, I don't know, whatever. But we'll get it all scrapped and cleaned up as much as possible so that we can start on the settlement. Not sure I should make a video of this anyway. This part's really dull and boring. But who knows, some people like it. There are 3 dog houses in Sanctuary, and later on you may have a dog as a companion. So you kind of want to get down to just one and have it in a place where you can find it. So if you send that particular companion back to here, you'll know where to find him as opposed to having to go to 3 different locations to track him down. And you can move that house, that dog house, into a central location, so you'll know exactly where to track him. Because it's possible to lose him in these places and have a hard time tracking him down. And that's a pain. So, anyway. Like I said before, this is going to be a fairly basic playthrough. It is modded. I have a settlement management mod, which allows me to put up a terminal and see where all my settlers are and what they're doing, and I can reassign them from that, which takes away some of the complication that the original system had in it. I also have a mod for EdE, which is a iBot that was in Fallout New Vegas. They did not include iBot companions in this particular game. And I really liked Eddie as a companion, so I wanted to have him. So my saved games will have an M on them. They are modded. Kind of sucks. I know there's a way to take that off. I'm not really all that worried about it. But those two take away from the purity of the game, I suppose. The game is a little different than what it would be without those mods. But I think that's pretty limited. I don't think I'm really using anything that takes away too much from the gameplay. So, I was going to turn down the volume of the game because I had echoes earlier on in my other videos. So hopefully that takes care of it, because I think it's picking up the game on the microphone as well. So I just don't feel like using headphones right now. So that would solve the problem as well. Now, I know I'm kind of hit and miss and I'm going all over the place to get all this stuff scrapped, but efficiency's overrated some days. I still got to go through all the houses, and everything helps towards materials to build up this place. Here's the second of the 3 dog houses I've come up to, and I'll delete this one. Or I should say scrap it, not delete it. Same difference. And all the materials you get from scrapping, of course, go directly into your workstation. So you're not carrying that with you, otherwise you'd wind up overweight fairly quickly. And this is kind of hokey here. You can't delete this part so it floats there, but you can delete the posts on either side, so it's kind of weird. But we'll run around and scrap all this stuff, and like I said, all of it's going to be for building my settlement, which I think I'm going to focus on putting a lot of my settlement. I know that can be deleted. A lot of my settlement's going to be based in the river. I think I'm going to use raised platforms and build my shacks for the citizenry in the river, just to be different. I've never done that before. I thought that might be kind of cool. It might affect some of my water purification money making scheme, just because it'll take up some of the room in there, but there are ways around that. Not perfect, because some people might see them as slightly exploitive, but they did leave those things in the game. Bethesda, being as wonderful as they are, they tend to allow a lot of I don't want to say questionable practices, but they allow you to kind of use things the way you see fit. Kind of the Matrix, where some rules can be bent, some rules can be broken. So you don't have to always follow exactly what real life would be. It being a fantasy world in a video game, it's kind of nice to be able to do things a little bit, you know, different than what was intended. I think that's why they leave it that way. But there's a lot of scrap in Sanctuary. It's probably one of the biggest areas as far as scrap available. And because I have the higher levels of charisma, I'll be able to set up shipments and stuff, or guys going between each base that'll be able to share their resources. Now, if you get into the deep water here, you'll start to take radiation. I'll show you that real quick. See, I've got +5 rads down there. If you're on an easier mode or a harder mode, that number will change. It'll get higher for harder, of course, and lower for easier. I'm on normal, so it's kind of in the middle. Just because I like seeing more of the legendary enemies, because sometimes the weapons you can get from that are really cool. And since I'm not going to be console commanding in weapons that I would like to have, or adding features to weapons that I would like to have, then that becomes key, because those weapons can really make a big difference on what you can and can't do. Okay, there's a red roach hiding in the bushes, and he is now taken care of. So anyway, and I have, like, scrapping here, I haven't even touched the surface. I'm only doing the outside right this second, and you always miss stuff. There's always stuff you didn't get to, and so you'll always be coming back and taking more stuff down. I usually make a lap or two around when I'm all done, just to try and get as much of it cleaned up as I can. It's OCD, I think. So that's just the way it is. Plus, the extra materials do matter. I do run out of materials because I'm not, you know, I'm not an expert settlement builder, but I really enjoy this aspect of the game. I mean, there are people that build things. You can look it up on YouTube. There are YouTubers that have built amazing structures with what they've got in the game. I'm trying to think of one that comes to mind. There's one that's just really cool, but I can't remember his name. If I sorry, got sidetracked. If I can look it up later on, and I might include his name on another video, because the things that he's created, although he hasn't produced any Fallout videos that I've seen recently, I don't think. Seems like when I was looking at his, it's been a while. But some of the stuff he's done is just amazing. Each settlement... Okay, here's the last doghouse. I really don't want to delete that one, so I'm going to take it up and put it with all the workshops I have saved up here. You don't want to delete workshops. Eventually, higher ranks of certain perks, you can start to build your own workstations, but at first you can't. So if you delete these, like the armorer's workbench, weaponer's, you know, chemistry station, you start deleting those, you won't be able to get those back for a while, and you'll really kind of put yourself at a disadvantage. You'll have to travel around with materials to try and get that done. So you really need to be sure not to delete those. I have, and it winds up being a pain. I've probably had, I don't know, half a dozen playthroughs of this game so far, and it's too much fun. I enjoy it. I've only scratched the surface with mods, and you can really break the game with mods and console commands. So just be aware. Try and get through it first time with using as little of that kind of stuff as possible, because it's really a good game and it deserves that first vanilla playthrough with no cheating, I suppose. But like I said, the mods I'm using like right now and the ones I'll really stick with are probably these two that I've got on here, and it's just because it includes something from a previous game that I really like, and it includes management of the settlement, which unfortunately Bethesda probably would have done real well by putting that in the game. And it may have come from one of the patches. I don't know that. I haven't messed enough with the Vault Tech patch to know whether that was where that came from, or whether it's just something somebody did with the materials from that retail. So all I know is it works really good. The other thing is I'm using a PS4 controller on my PC with Steam's new support through big screen, and that has made this game 100 times more fun for me to play. It really, I love using a controller for this compared to using keyboard and mouse. I never thought I'd be one to say that, but it really enhances the gameplay, and this game definitely needed it because the controller just makes it that much more fluid, where keyboard and mouse are pretty rough. And I don't like 360 controllers. I'm not going to get into which console is better. I have my opinion, and I own one, not the other. But I really like the PS4 controller better as far as symmetrical control placement as opposed to offset. It just works better for me. So again, personal preference, not something, I mean, I am certain that you can get by with a 360 controller and it would probably still be night and day better and easier than using a keyboard and mouse. It's just, it really slows the gameplay down, which, you know, gameplay doesn't always have to be fast, but in this case I like this better for sure. So again, I'm just clearing out the stuff on the outsides of the buildings. Of course, the green line there is, I missed those. The green line there is the limit to the border of the settlement, so you can't really go outside of that and delete stuff. I think there are mods that would allow you to do so, but I don't see the need for that, so I would rather pass. I do wish there was a one button where you could just delete everything in the settlement so you don't have to go through this each playthrough. But it's a small price to pay for what I want to do, and it allows me to kind of wander around the settlement and figure out how I want to go about building this time around, because like I said, that's part, for me, that's really a lot of the fun of the whole thing. I think that might be the one that's either difficult or impossible to get out of there, which is fine. I'll just skip it. It's only one beam. So as soon as I'm done deleting all this stuff on the outside, I will save it. I apologize if this is mind-numbing for people. I am streaming on Twitch. I will put these up on YouTube under Mobius Tank, but I am not able to look at the chat window because it tends to lag this thing out too much. I think I need a better graphics card. I have a 960 with 4 gigs, but I think I want to eventually, maybe early next year, upgrade to a 1080 if I can afford it. It's going to be a big chunk of money, but I think that would solve my problem. Couldn't hurt. There is an invisible tree right there. If you look up, it appears. If you look down, it disappears. Still scrappable. It's the only one that I'm aware of in this settlement. It's just really bizarre. So let's see now. I think I'm getting close to being done with most of this stuff. There's still a few items around. Codsworth is still there. Now once I go to Concord and deal with that part of the game, Codsworth is going to become a companion that I can have, and he'll follow me around. He's pretty stout too, even before you get to where you can modify his weapons and his build, which is doable. He's really tough. He kills stuff pretty effectively. But he does count as a companion, which Dogmeat does not. So if you go Lone Wanderer path, Dogmeat does not take away from your carry weight, so you can get really high on carry weight. Whereas Codsworth, Lone Wanderer doesn't work. He counts as a companion, and you will not be able to benefit from that little loophole, I suppose. So it's just kind of, it depends on how you want to play. I prefer not having a companion, but this playthrough I probably will, just for the sake of the lore and kind of letting people see what that's about. If you haven't got this game yet, I recommend it. It's really a great storyline, and it's got a lot of playthrough potential for going through it a second and third time. I've been playing these particular games for Lord, probably 15, 20 years now. I started with Fallout 2, which was a top-down, kind of a third-person weird RPG. And to play it now is not doable. I can't stand it, but it was a great game with a great story. So it certainly got me hooked on the genre and on the franchise of Fallout. So it'll be interesting to see what they do next with it. I think it's a ways out. I'd like to see them do another New Vegas with a separate studio, and so there's some content coming out for die-hard fans, because it's really an enjoyable series. But we may have to wait for Fallout 5 and just survive with Fallout 4 until then. With mods, it's not going to be too hard. There's a lot to offer. So anyway, this is the I got everything cleared out of the outside, so I'm going to do the inside next. I'm going to go ahead and save this video. I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to skip these two, because they're going to be kind of dry. But after I'm done with the inside, then I'll start working on the settlement building, get that done, and then we'll get into the main storyline and kind of work through that as I can and as I decide to. Not sure which path I'm going to go or how fast I'm going to go through it. I will do some with the Railroad. They're a faction that you'll see later on in the gameplay. And we'll go from there. Thanks for watching.